Good afternoon and welcome to Women in Business in Connecticut, a reflection of the past and a look ahead. Before we get started, we're going to have some instructions for those that will be listening in Spanish. Diana, passing to you.
Hello everyone, buenos días a todos. Mi nombre es Diana Reyes y voy a dar instrucciones sobre cómo acceder a la traducción para esta presentación. En la parte inferior de la pantalla, haga clic en el globo a la derecha con la palabra interpretación debajo. En la ventana que abre, haga clic en SP o español. Los participantes en el canal de idioma escucharán el audio traducido y también el audio original a un volumen más bajo. Deberá presionar silenciar el audio original o mute original audio para que no escuche ningún eco del inglés debajo del español. Deberá seleccionar esta opción al seleccionar el idioma. Hay una foto de la pantalla ubicada en el chat. Gracias y que pasen un buen día.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Diana. And welcome, everyone, to the webinar, Women in Business, a reflection on the past and a look ahead. My name is Elena Trueworthy. I'm the Deputy Commissioner at the Office of Early Childhood. And thank you for spending some time with us today on this really important topic. There is so much rich history when it comes to the role of women in business, right? The role of women leading and growing the childcare industry and in becoming entrepreneurs and business owners. And we know that so much of that rich history is due to the past and current leadership and sacrifices of women, in particular women of color. And for that, we are so thankful. The pandemic was terrible in so many ways, too many ways to count, right? But there were some silver linings that got raised up around the importance of our early childhood workforce, about the importance of high quality early care and education, and about the importance of women who are running our childcare businesses across our state, right? Also, it raised up the importance of the early years, just how critical it is for the first years of a child's life, for those to be stable, for those to have positive interactions and high quality environments. It also raised up the importance of parents and families having a place that they feel good about, right? That they know their child is healthy and safe and being nurtured and cared for while they go to work, right? And it also increased the awareness of the importance of our childcare industry and businesses as a driver for our state's economic success. You know, this past, over the course of the past year, we were engaged under Governor Lamont's leadership to create a blue ribbon plan on childcare. So a 5-year strategic plan and roadmap for how we stabilize and continue to build the access and equity in our childcare industry. And one of those important pieces of work focused on the return on investment. So investing in early care and education, investing in the early years of a child's life with Connecticut data shows us that there is a 7.4 benefit to cost ratio of doing that. It also would support 15,000 new moms and new parents joining the workforce, adding $2.7 billion to our state's gross domestic product. These are really big numbers, and it really undergirds the importance of our workforce across our state. So with that, I want to thank everybody who put this webinar together. I really want to thank our partners at the Women Business Development Council, WBDC, for your tremendous work in this area, your partnership with our agency, and your partnership with the businesses across our state. And with that, I'll introduce our keynote speaker, Ms. Fran Pastore. You know, when I think about Fran or hear about her work, there are different words that come to mind or that we hear. We hear trailblazer, pioneer, catalyst, and she is the founder and CEO of the Women's Business and Development Council. She is a devoted and passionate catalyst for economic equity, justice, and inclusion for women. Over nearly 30 years, Ms. Pastore has grown WBDC from a small business to a leading force in Connecticut's economic ecosystem and a trusted resource among networks, stakeholders, and public officials. In addition to her work at WBDC, she has served as a member of the National Women's Business Development Council, which provides counsel to then President Obama, Congress, and the U.S. Small Business Administration. It is my pleasure to hand it over and welcome Fran.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm so happy to meet you for the first time, I think, today. So thank you so much for that introduction. Right now, I'm a little excited. I'm just a little excited. Before we were talking about potentially Louise and I going to Washington on Monday to talk about our work with OEC, and that we were waiting to get approval to go to the White House and meet with the Vice President. And in the middle of this call, we just got our approval. So Louise and I will be shuffling on down to Washington, D.C. to talk about our OEC partnership. And we're excited, and we'll tell you more about that. So thank you for inviting me to join you today. We're honored to work with all of the providers on this call, and of course to work with OEC under Commissioner Beth Bai's leadership, and Elena with you as well. Your team has been exemplary to work with, and we're really honored to have been called upon and to serve. So in keeping with the theme of this afternoon's topic, which is reflection of the past and looking ahead, I'm going to start our conversation today by sharing a little history about the women's entrepreneurship movement in our country, which started decades ago. I will share with you that in 1995, I found myself a single, unemployed mom with two little girls, aged at the time 2 and 4 years old. I had very little job experience, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to make a living to support these two young women and provide them with a role model so that they could be economically independent. You know, I always felt, and a very good friend of mine once said to me, that it was okay to depend on a man, but not to be dependent on a man. And I wanted my daughters to see that a woman could achieve things on her own and that they too could be economically self-reliant. So as I was looking around and trying to figure out what to do, one thing became abundantly clear to me. I could not go back to a job on Wall Street where I was taking the train from Stamford, Connecticut, down to Wall Street every day. I would miss so much time with my children, but more importantly, how was I going to find the right care for them? At the time, I knew that the salary that I could procure from any job was going to equate to the amount of childcare that it was going to cost me. And so I managed right there to realize that I needed to stay in Connecticut, the state which I had come to call my home for many years. I learned, as I was thinking about what I wanted to do, I learned that Connecticut was one of the only states in the country that didn't have a resource for women entrepreneurs. And here begins our history lesson. Way back in the 1980s, a group of women got together. They called themselves the Committee of 200, and that committee actually still exists. And the Committee of 200 wanted to have women recognized for their contributions to the American economy. And they began to lobby the United States Congress to conduct a study on the impact that women were making on our national economy. I'm sorry, did something just happen? Interpretation stopped, it says. I'll keep going. So this group of women lobbied Congress to conduct a study to look at the impact of women and women in business on the economy because there were no statistics. So they commissioned a study, and the study comes back, and the study reveals that women are starting businesses at twice the rate of their male counterparts, but they lack several things. One of the top items that they lack is access to capital. And so these women set out to adopt a law many years later in 1988, which becomes the Women's Business Ownership Act of 1988. That law did four very, very important things. And the first thing that it did was it addressed the issue that was revealed in that study that said women were not accessing as much capital for their businesses, and that was a hindrance to their success. Well, why were women not accessing as much capital? The study went on to reveal that the reason that women were not accessing as much capital is because the only way they can access capital was with a male co-signer, the age of 16 years of age or older. So imagine this. Imagine your local coffee shop. Imagine your local barista owns that coffee shop, and she's been in business for many years, and it's 1988. Or 1987, and she decides that she wants to expand her coffee shop. Now, she's been doing business for the 20 years that she's been in business, and her name solely is on that business. She decides that she wants to expand. Maybe she wants to buy a new fancy cappuccino machine. She goes to her local bank, and they say, great, your financial statements are in order, your credit is fantastic, you need to bring us in. Do you have a husband, a brother, father, a son, the age of 16 years of age of older, who can co-sign this loan for you? And that's a real story. That is one of the women that testified in favor of HR 5050, the groundbreaking law at the federal level, which finally gave women access to capital. Yes, a woman who owned a coffee shop in Washington, D.C., who was the sole support for her 16-year-old son, had to have her 16-year-old son co-sign her bank loan for her so she could expand her coffee shop. So that law eradicated all state banking laws that said women in business, in order to get a commercial loan, needed a male co-signer the age of 16 years or older. Second thing that law did was it mandated that the United States Census Bureau start gathering information from women on whether or not they owned a business and how many employees they had. Until then, until 1988, the census did not ask women that question on the census reform. The third thing that it did was it established something called the National Women's Business Council. And when Elena spoke earlier and she introduced me, she mentioned that I served on the National Women's Business Council under President Obama, and I did. It was the highlight of my career. The National Women's Business Council exists to make sure that research is conducted on an ongoing basis to address issues that are limiting women's access to success as entrepreneurs. And the final thing that law did was it established something called the Women's Business Center Project. That meant that every state in the country should have a resource for women who are seeking to start or expand a business to go to and help them overcome the obstacles that were identified in that report. Not just access to capital, but access to marketing, the understanding of marketing, marketing plans, business plans, and any other education or training that women needed to ensure their success as business owners. And just, a little context to that, less women were getting MBAs at the time, less women were becoming doctors, less women were becoming architects, less women were going into those fields that we are now surpassing our male counterparts in. Excuse me. So let's fast forward. That was 1988. It's now 1995, 1996, and Fran is the single unemployed mother of 2 girls trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And I come to the realization that there is no way that I can travel to New York to get a job. But what's happening in my own city or my own town? I had always been an advocate for women. I come from a family of small business owners. I was always interested in seeing women advance. So I learned that Connecticut is the only state in the country that doesn't have a women's business center, right? That legislation was passed. All the other states in the country have access to these federal funds to help them start a nonprofit organization that provides education and training to would-be entrepreneurs and existing entrepreneurs. So therein, in my life, and I'm sure like many of you, you realized, wow, I could actually possibly make a living doing something that I really care about and I really love. And that is how the Women's Business Development Council was born. Now, I'll share a little more insight into my own personal story. It took a long time before I was actually able to earn money, earn a salary at WBDC. We had to go through the startup process. And I know that many of you are on this call today are our clients, so you understand the work that WBDC does. But how did I do that with 2 little girls? They needed morning care, they needed daycare, and they needed aftercare. I could not afford it. I could not afford it, and I didn't know what to do. We were members of the Jewish Community Center in my hometown in Stamford, and they had just launched an early childhood education program. I think most of you know me to be outspoken, and I kind of don't take no for an answer. And so I thought, I've got to start this business. I've got to start this organization. I've got to build this business. How am I going to do that without the infrastructure that I need to take care of my children, who were my first priorities? And so I went to the leadership at the Jewish Community Center and I said, I can't afford $800 a month per child. Can you help me? And they said, we have a sliding scale based on income. And that is the only way that I was able to help build WBDC, because I was making very, very little money when we first launched. And I was able to provide in kind to the Jewish Community Center things that I could do to help them. And then the sliding scale allowed me to send my children, one to full-time daycare and the other one to the aftercare program. And that's how I built the organization. And it truly does take a village. So today, I think all of you know that WBDC has multiple offices around the state. We work with women from all walks of life that are facing many of the same challenges that I faced 25 years ago when we launched this organization. It's been a labor of love for me. And I'm so grateful for all the people, including the leadership at the Jewish Community Center, who had the foresight to say, this is a community that needs help. People need childcare. Here's a business opportunity for us, but it's also an opportunity for us to help those that cannot access this care outside of our doors. So I was very lucky about that. I'll share with you that I have traveled to many places around the globe, and some of you might see the bottom of some of the artwork behind me. That is from a trip that I had to Rwanda, where I took the WBDC program model, and along with other colleagues, we taught genocide survivors how to open up businesses. And the business that we helped launch there was the first ice cream shop ever in that country. Many of you have taken advantage of WBDC's programs and services and have empowered yourselves. And, you know, the 10 ways that we empower women at WBDC is by, you can take a free class, you can book no-cost appointments, you can apply for a WBDC class, you can apply for a grant. I think many of our clients on this call today have done so. And one of the clients that has done so is one of the clients that you're going to be meeting in the video that is about to be shown. Emanuela has received 2 grants from WBDC totaling $18,000. She used those grants to expand her childcare business, which happens to be on my street in Stamford. We are just thrilled that she is not only part of our community and has become a successful provider, but our community in particular in Stamford was a little bit of a childcare desert. A lot of young families and no childcare in the immediate surroundings. So she's just been amazing. She started as a family daycare center, and she has grown now to coming to WBDC in 2020. She's taken over 30 hours of training with WBDC. She has created over 20 jobs in our city. And most importantly, she has doubled the number of children that she takes care of. So that has helped to create 50 more slots in our town. And we're just so excited. I actually ran into one of my neighbors whose child goes to Emanuela's, and she said to me, when I get together with my friends and I see their children, all I can think about is how lucky and how blessed I am to have this resource in my hometown, down the street from my house, and more importantly, the love and education that my child is getting. This is not daycare. This is an education. So with that, I have chills. I'm going to turn this over so that we can see the WBDC video that features Emanuela and Mom Maison Childcare. Thank you all for having me today. I know that you'll enjoy the rest of the afternoon, and I'm honored to have been here to tell my story because I believe that it's a story that resonates with the women we serve at WBDC and some of you, many of you who are own and operate your own business. Thank you.
Mom Maison Childcare is really a home away from home. We provide care for infants as early as 3 months old to school aged. And we are celebrating our 10th year anniversary this year, so very proud. WBDC has impacted Mom Maison Childcare greatly. I definitely utilized the different webinar that they had about how to get funding. I was privileged to get a couple grants from WBDC and attending some of the classes that they offered to help support training to succeed. When I found out that I was a recipient of the Women Rising Award, I was speechless. I had no words. It's such a blessing. When I moved in 2021 to this location at the historical Hubbard Mansion, we were licensed for 75 due to limited parking. And with the help of WBDC, we were able to expand. We're now at over 100 families in the neighborhood, providing employment to many other staff in the community. So WBDC, there's no words to really explain how much they've impacted the success of Mom Maison Childcare.
My, oh my, still digesting, still reflecting, still absorbing our keynote speaker and the video that we just saw. First of all, I want to thank once again, Fran, for your powerful, inspiring message. I'm still taken aback with all that you shared and the insight provided. The Women's Business Development Act of 1988. You didn't say 1888, you said 1988. Ah, my, oh my. Thank you so very much, Fran. And of course, Emanuela, thank you. Oh, yes, thank you. And thank you for sharing the story of Emanuela. All that WBDC does is so important. And we want to share the connection as to why. So honored to have our partner, Margaret Gustafson, who is with OEC, an education consultant with the Office of Early Childhood, who's going to share a bit more about the partnership. Margaret, passing to you.
Thank you, Lorna. And I want to echo the sentiments that Lorna just said. A big thank you to Fran for that very powerful introduction. I think powerful is a great word for it. And to Emanuela for sharing her path. That's just such a great story of success. And I think you know who's always going to be on her team with WBDC. So hello, everyone. I'm Margaret Gustafson. As part of my job at the Office of Early Childhood, I'm the lead for the OEC contract with the Women's Business Development Council. And I want to take just a moment to tell you why this is important to you. This contract was established during the height of the pandemic, when a vision was finally realized. For as long as I can remember, I've spoken with other early childhood providers and specialists about the need for business support for providers. You know, people often hear me say that we do child development really well, but we don't necessarily have the business education and connections that we truly need. And it wasn't until the very, very daunting days of COVID-19 that we were able to realize this at a very critical level with the support of Governor Lamont and Commissioner Bai. I'm honestly just so happy to say that we're in our 4th year partnering with WBDC, and it's really hard to remember a time when we didn't work together because it's made so much sense and brought so much to all of you. So you are where this all comes together. WBDC has already worked directly with over 1/3 of all the licensed providers in that very short time. It's remarkable when you have the right people in the room. I see business health as the foundation of any good childcare program, right? Without business health, we can have amazing staff, we can have a great facility, we have wonderful families, but the program might not survive if we don't have good business health. WBDC provides hugely important scope of work for our licensed childcare providers under this contract. They're able to offer free business-related professional development to licensed program staff, as well as individualized business support to programs, including grants and really amazing technology as well. They also help OEC think about childcare as the businesses that they are, the essential businesses that they are, so that we can do everything to support all involved and our state's economy. I think of WBDC helping providers navigate things like zoning and other challenges that they're so well positioned to do, but that childcare as a whole isn't necessarily. And it's great to see so many names on this webinar that I know that you're working with Fran's team. WBDC is all about the entrepreneurial spirit, realizing it and sustaining it. I'd love for all of us to take a moment, think about Fran's keynote, really let that timeline sink in that Lorna popped in about too, 1988, not that long ago, right? This is fairly new, and we're continuing a long line on this path. We're so indebted to business partners and pioneers, those of the past and those today, including WBDC. To me, WBDC is the support every childcare business should have on their team. They're really kind of the secret sauce that we think about for childcare health. And with that, I'm so proud of the work they've done and the opportunity to share with you today. So please listen to find yourself in this webinar and consider how you too can make a bigger difference for children, families, and staff in your business. Thank you for all you do on behalf of the Office of Early Childhood, and thank you, WBDC, for this great partnership. Back to you, Lorna.
Thank you, Margaret. Thank you so much. And thank you for serving as a wonderful conduit between OEC and WBDC under your leadership. Thank you so very much. And so with that, we're going to begin our panel discussion where we have an opportunity to hear from several that contribute and help and inspire and motivate. Let us first begin by introducing our panelists, starting with Linda Fecteau. Linda is WBDC's Child Care Business Program Manager and Business Advisor. She is dedicated to helping early childhood education programs enhance their business practices. As a founder and former owner of a multi-site child care center and former instructor of the Administration and Supervision Directors course, Linda uses her expertise to guide child care businesses, especially centers, with implementing strategies and financial practices that save time and money. Linda, may you just say hello so the camera can feature you? Oh, you're on mute.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Look forward to our discussion.
Thank you, Linda. Next, we have Tanya Kelly. Tanya is a WBDC business advisor. Leveraging her experience as a seasoned financial professional, QuickBooks Certified Pro Advisor, and entrepreneur, Tanya teaches and motivates startups and small business owners to become fiscally fit. She works closely with childcare providers and small businesses, including family homes, to strengthen their finances, set up their QuickBooks, and address pain points in their business. Tanya, may you please say hello?
Lorna, thank you so much for that introduction. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I am just excited and thrilled to be here. And just a little side note, my name is actually pronounced Tanya, like tan on the beach, in case you ever want to use it again.
Tanya,
Thank you.
thank you so much for correcting and modeling the appropriate way of advocating for self, because you should be called as you were named, Tanya. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
so
Tanya.
much. Thank you.
Of course, thank you. Next, we have Kamara, and please, I'll have you to give the correct spelling as well, Moody, who is a mother, grandmother, entrepreneur, and student. She is the proud owner of Lil Sunshine Home Daycare and Sunshine Daycare Center, both located in Bridgeport. She is a passionate childcare provider who has dedicated 17 years to the field of early care and education, and has her associate's degree in early childhood inclusive education, along with a head teacher credential and early childhood teacher credential. Kamara, may you please say hello?
It's actually Kamara.
Kamara, okay, thank you. Nope, thank you, please. We have to get it correct. Thank you. Thank you so much. And next we have Marcela Rodriguez. Marcela is a proud owner and a proud owner of Sharing and Caring Daycare Center in Naugatuck and mother of 2 children. After leaving her country as an industrial engineer, Marcela had to find a new career upon immigrating to the United States. She spent a few years volunteering in child care centers. Seeing the need for quality early childhood education, especially for children with special needs, Marcela decided to pursue her CDA and start her own center. Marcela, who I believe affectionately goes by Marcy also, but may you please say hello?
Hello, thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here and be part of this amazing, team. Thank you, appreciate you.
Wonderful, thank you. So glad you are here and the rest of the teammates. So let us begin with the first question, which goes to Linda and Tanya. Linda and Tanya. Let's have you take a moment to introduce yourselves and your connection to women's entrepreneurship.
I'll go first, Tanya.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Okay. So again, thank you so much for that introduction, Lorna. My name is Linda Fecto, and I am the Childcare Business Program Manager. Just a quick story on how I got here. During the pandemic, my daughter and I were running centers in the eastern part of Connecticut, and it was a very scary time. We had to lay off over 30 people. We had to apply for loans and grants and all kinds of things. And WBDC was truly my lifeline. I remember one of the very first sort of reach outs when Fran was on the call and a few other people, and we were just all so scared and didn't know what, to expect. So from there, I got so much counseling on the HR issues, the loan issues, everything that we really needed to deal with. And I can't say how much help it was. So when they expanded their child care program and were looking for help, I jumped at the chance. And I am so proud to be part of this wonderful organization. Tanya?
Well, I've heard most of that before, but every time I hear it, it gives me chills. It's a great story. Yeah, my story is somewhat different. My background is finance. I always like to say that I'm not pigeonholed to finance, but that is my background. I love budgets and banking and profitability and all that fun stuff. I like making sure people are fiscally fit, as you said earlier, Lorna. But for me, I was working in corporate for a long time, and I was starting to work with small business owners, which felt near and dear to my heart. Especially after, quite frankly, my mother had unexpectedly passed away. It kind of just made me pivot a little bit and made me not want to. I loved corporate, and I was really grateful for the experience, for sure. But working with small business owners meant so much more to me. And so I was learning a lot about the Women's Business Development Council through just small businesses as they were talking about WBDC and all that they did. And so I just felt like it was serendipitous. There was a position that finally came up. I was offered a position after several, interviews and all of that, but I was grateful and I have not looked back. It is an incredible, incredible organization with incredible people that are just smart and dedicated. And I just feel honored to be a part of this council.
Boy, Tanya and Linda, thank you both so much. And we are honored that you are part of it as well. Certainly have rich knowledge and information to share. Thank you. The next question is for Kamara and Marcy. Tell us about your journey. How did you get into early childhood industry? How did you get into the early childhood industry? And what are some resources you utilized along the way? Marcy, we'll start with you, please. Oh, I wish I'm reading your lips, but I would love to hear your voice.
Okay, got it. I'm sorry. Like they were saying in the introduction, I immigrated from my country 20 years ago, knowing zero English. And I had recently graduated as an industrial engineer with a lot of background in administration. But when I came here, I had to start from the beginning, and I had to take in and start in a new career, something that I was able to do and at the same time be able to take care of my own children. And I support my family and I help my husband, who has been like a rock and a support during all this journey. When I started all of these, I started as a volunteering because at one point I needed that service and I needed to go to work, and they were there for me. So when it was my time to ship in, I did. And I did, and I fell in love with all of the children. I fell in love with all of them being provider means. It is very important for us to know there's so many children that they need us, that they receive so many programs, and sometimes parents are lost and they need us to guide them, to tell them what door to knock, to be able to provide the needs for the little ones. And the opportunity presented to me, and I talked in with my husband, and I was grateful to meet Linda and Tanya, who had been a very, very, very helpful through all this journey. They guide me all the way through. And if I could, believe me, all of you guys can.
Kamara, same to you, please. Please tell us about your journey.
Oh, hi. So I was a young immigrant mother from Jamaica, and I had 2 young girls and no family support. I basically had no family here except for my daughter's dad at the time. So I had my dream job, I thought, being an auditor, and loved it. But then I had real struggles with finding affordable childcare. So I had to give up my dream job and I became a nanny because I learned that I would have the flexibility of choosing, my hours, who I work for, a stay-at-home mom or otherwise. And then with that, I had the flexibility also with most of my jobs to bring my kids to work when they had no school, half a days and all that. So that worked for me. So I had this one job where my employer, she said to me one morning, I've been watching you with my son, and I think you're a teacher. I'm like, me? She said, yes. She said, what's your major in school? Because at the time I was also a full-time student at Housatonic. And I told her, I said, business administration. That's what I did back home. So that's my career field. She said, well, I want you to take my son and head down to Housatonic, and you're going to change your major to early childhood education. I'm like, what? She said, yes. She said, you're so caring, you're so creative, that's your calling. So I headed down to Housatonic, met with an advisor, changed my major. And while studying, I realized that that was really my calling. So I saved up my money, bought a house, and opened my own family childcare in 2007, January of 2007. Here I am 17 years later, and I just expanded.
My, oh my, that boy. And thank you so much for sharing that. And I have to say, a common piece I heard, Kamar, from what you shared, and Marcy from what you shared, and pardon, I'm going off script a little bit, but we're going to go with the flow, is it sounds like both of you had someone who believed in you. You had someone to advocate for you. May you please share the significance of that. What is it like when you have even just one person who believes in you and encourages you? How did that help you in your journey?
For me, it was an eye opener that, sometimes it's not so much what you see within yourself, because all I knew was business. But to have someone see that in me, that I'm a nurturer, I'm an educator, it meant the world. And, after she pushed me to do that, I tell myself every day, I have to live, believe in, and live within my purpose and do what I was called to do. And I honestly know without a shadow of a doubt, this is my calling. And I thank her every day, Jennifer. I thank her.
Indeed. We thank Jennifer as well. Marcy, for you, do you care to share?
It definitely is a strength. Knowing that somebody is there, all the way there, like supporting you, because the journey is not easy. Being, for example, just a teacher aide or a volunteer and becoming and the owner of a business, it is a little different, and it's a lot of little rocks in the road, but knowing that there's somebody there holding you and like helping you to get there, seeing the goal that's going to serve a purpose not only for me but for all of the families and children that I care for, that means a lot. It means the sky. It means everything.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Marcella and Kamara, for sharing. And what you shared segues quite well to our next question, which is for Linda and Tanya, recognizing you being a part of WBDC. Are Marcy and Kamara's stories typical of the clients you work with? And how are they similar or different or unique?
Well, first, I want to say that both women are gifted teachers, but in addition to that, they are excellent business women. And I think that that is one of the things that WBDC is so strong at, is taking that passion that they have for teaching and childcare, and then showing them how to live that out by having good business practices. So, and they have been just wonderful to work with. But I would say that yes and no. I mean, even if you look at their two stories, they're similar. However, Kamara has been in the business for a while as a family provider. She just expanded last year to a center. And she's really taken everything that she's learned and figured out how to grow. Marcy is a little bit newer to the field, but still very passionate and doing a wonderful job. We work with family home providers and center providers really all over the state who are in all different phases of their growth. Some are just starting out, some have been in business for a long time. So we really do have a wide variety of providers that we work with. But again, I'd say that their common thread is that they are all wonderful, nurturing, caring people who sometimes need to really focus more on the business. Well, not more on the business, but focus in addition to the business skills. And that's how they can keep doing the work that they love.
Yeah, that was well said, Linda. I feel like everyone is unique, right? So to answer your question, everyone's story, everyone's business, every business owner, right, is unique. Their story is different. And so, yes, they are unique, but, Linda talked about some common threads, and I'll speak to some of the common threads that I see from my vantage point. I think that Kamara was just profound when she said that it is important to find someone that believes in you. I think that what happens is that regardless of what the challenge is, and oftentimes when our clients are coming to us, there's a challenge. I mean, we'd love for them to come and just say hello, but it's normally not just that, right? There is something that they need help with, right? We are a resource. And so I think that what I find is that we are similar in that they are unique, but we are also, what is similar is that they are all looking for, I believe, the confidence, someone to believe in them. They respect WBDC. So the fact that we believe in them and then we can show them the way helps to make a difference. So everyone's challenge is a little different. And there are some common threads. Like, for example, I work more so with finance, so I can talk about what I see there, right? But the bottom line is that everyone is so different. They are looking for that confidence. And then for us to drill down and give them the resources to help them move on to the next phase in their business.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Linda. Thank you. And with hearing with what you're sharing and hearing you give the accolades to Marcy and to Kamara and you seeing the potential within them, I'm going to go off script as well, if I may. How may you respond if you have someone who may not be in a place of not only recognizing their own sources of strength, but they may not have sources of strength around them. They may not have that village of support around them. What advice may you have for someone in that situation?
I have to start this one, Linda.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, if you don't mind. I just have to, because
Yep.
we say this a lot. And so it's really important no matter who, like, I don't care who you're meeting with. You have to meet people where they are. You start there, right? So if they don't have a support circle, which I think is really important, then you start that circle, right? You start to build that confidence in them. You start to see where they are. It starts with, it could be a village of one, right? They can start by speaking with us where they're building confidence. From there, we may tap and have them go to a WBDC event or a panel discussion like this, a networking event, so forth and so on. And that's how they can build. But it starts with that connection during our sessions, during our classes. Meeting people where they are, I think, is going to be essential to navigating through that.
That is exactly what I was going to say too, Tanya. we do meet people where they're at, and like I said, there's such a wide spectrum of the clients that we work with, and as far as the resources that we bring, we also do connect them with things like the family service navigators, or sorry, I just messed that up. There's navigators through the Office of Early Childhood. There's the Staff Family Network. There are directors councils through some of the regional educational service centers. There's quite a few actually outlets that we try to get them involved with, because I think it lets them know you're not alone. The problem that you had yesterday, somebody else also had yesterday, or will have the next day, or has had in the past. And this is what they've learned from that. And this is how you can take those messages and grow your own business. So we do try to create that village for them.
Thank you, Linda. And with what you've shared, and Tanya, with what you've shared, going to segue, and Linda, going to dovetail off of what you were speaking of, this question is for you. You've been in and around the early childhood industry for some time, for many years.
Yes.
What are the most significant changes in the industry you've seen?
Well, obviously the pandemic has had a huge impact on the childcare industry. Staffing issues are prevalent, as everyone already knows. But I also, on a positive note, have seen so much more respect for the field. People are really understanding, the importance of it. As Elena had said earlier, it did shine really a light on how much the childcare segment really impacts the overall state's economy. So I think that that's a good thing. I do think that the fact that we are investing more resources into things like the Women's Business Development Council or the Staff Family Networks, those are the kinds of things that have really helped the field survive, if you will, and grow. So I think that those are all really important, positive things that came out of the pandemic. Some of the things I think, we still need to work on a little bit. because of a lot of the children that are in centers now are pandemic babies. We are seeing some struggles going on in some of the centers. Some of the children, just need extra supports, which means that the staff need extra supports. So I just think it's really important during this forum to really shout out to all of those directors and staff that are doing this, work frontline every day, and to be mindful to give them that support. If you're a parent and you are bringing your child to a childcare center or to a family home program, make sure you say thank you to them, because they are really working hard and they do need that extra support. So, and they need to practice some self-care as well.
Couldn't say it any louder, Linda. Absolutely, absolutely. Self-care is so very important, and it's not selfish. It is so very important, especially when it comes to our youngest of young. So thank you for restating that important message. And in terms of important messages, this next question, Tanya, is for you. What is the single biggest challenge facing the childcare business owner today? Linda just made reference to everyday challenges. What would you say is the single most challenge facing childcare business owners today?
Lorna, I'm going to start out the gate by giving you two things. So it's not necessarily single, but I think it's really important. There are two things that I think are challenges. The biggest is fear. And followed by that, a runner-up, a close runner-up is going to be planning. And what I mean by that is there is a lot of fear. I hear it, especially when we're talking about finances. I have clients that fear that they're going to be judged because they don't know their numbers or they don't understand their numbers. And from that, there's fear of being othered, which it hurts me to my core, because people should not feel embarrassed because they don't understand their numbers, right? We are here to teach them that, and it is okay if you don't know or understand them. Some people don't like them either, right? But we know that it's an essential part of business. So that is one big challenge. The reason why I need to add planning is because what I often see is that people are trying to work, you start a business, you have a passion for it, or for whatever the impetus is, and you start this business and you're busy, right? You're busy working on that business. And you're so busy starting the business, working on the business, that oftentimes there's no planning. And so we're not thinking about what's happening in a year from now, 2 years from now. Maybe we're thinking about it in theory, but we have not done anything to formalize that. And I know that through these WBDC grants that we offer, we see that quite a bit. And I have to stop and say that we thank you so much for your support, right? Because it's through the partnership with OEC that we're able to even do this, to give grants to so many small business owners, that I'm going to go off topic a little bit. So I talked about the two challenges, but I have to thank you, because the grants have helped so much. They've helped so many small business owners with some of the challenges, the other challenges that they face, whether it's paying themselves, increasing profitability, emergencies that come up, replacing equipment and things of that nature. The grants that you give also serve as a springboard, right? For women to access other loans and capital to help further grow their business, which is really, really important. And I do have some numbers here. Our grantees have gone on to access over 6 million, in external capital, including 2.86 million by child care grantees. So to summarize that, fear and planning, right? Those are the biggest challenges. But through the grants, that has helped so many small business owners to help to mitigate some of those challenges that we do face.
Thank you, Tanya. Boy, fear and planning. And I think those are probably challenges that go beyond the realm of the topic of what we're talking about.
I think you're right. I'm sorry, Lorna.
No, that's all right. That's all right. But this is important, how there are many extensions to the topics and pieces that are being covered. But thank you. Thank you for sharing what the challenge is so we can work to address the challenge. And with that, want to address this question to our wonderful panelists, Marcy and Kamara. We just heard from Tanya about WBDC's grants, and I believe the both of you are grant recipients. Please tell us about your experience, about the impact the funding has had on your business.
I think without it, I probably would not be able to be here. Like I said, I initiated all of this with my husband, and we did everything out of our savings. So I was blessed to be one of the recipients for the opening grants. And with that, I was able to get an insurance for my center. I was able to actually, you know, get some of the necessities, some of the equipment that, you need to run a business. I'm at the beginning of this. So every business at the beginning, you guys know it is not profitable. So for me, is what actually is keeping me right now, being, one of the recipients. And I didn't only receive the one of the opening grants, I was able also to get a technology grant, which has helped me tremendously. I was able to get equipment for my teachers, to be able to do all the lesson plans. I was able to get other things that it has helped me tremendously to be where I'm at right now.
And so thankful that you are here right now, and so thankful that you persevered. Absolutely. Kamara, what about for you?
I received the expansion grant last fall. I think it was in September. And that really pivoted my business. I was able to hire one new teacher. I was also able to buy a lot of stuff that I needed. So, teacher resources and some new furniture. And with all that help from WBDC and my wonderful coach, Linda, I am now at 95% approximately capacity, and it's been wonderful. It was such a great addition, and I just cannot be more thankful for WBDC and the OEC partnership.
Well, we're thankful to you. We're thankful to all of you. And with you both sharing, Marcy and Kamara, sharing how the grants have helped support you and helped your business, it certainly touches to other pieces we've heard in this conversation. I'm thinking again with what Tanya was sharing in terms of fear and planning being two important challenges. And clearly to benefit from the grants that you have received, you had to plan effectively. And you had to overcome the fear of what was happening around us. So proud of you both for being able to do that, and for us to be able to hear your story now and look forward to hearing more to come. And speaking with that, have a question for all of you. What do you think are the connections between, and let me just give a little caveat for this. We started off talking about who you are, your story, what brought you here. And even though you all had your own unique stories, a common thread I heard from all of you, whether you are representing WBDC or you're representing the provider voice, was that there was some point in your existence where there was a challenge that you had to overcome. And I think that's just the reality of being a human being. We're going to have challenges. But also, and if I may throw in, again, it's March, it's Women's History Month, which we can celebrate year round, but nonetheless, we are focusing on that now. We know that when it comes to those who identify as a female, there are many additional challenges that come into play, and how to balance it all. So when you think of all of that, the reality of life and living and challenges that come your way, and the challenges that may multiply because of gender roles and things along those lines, what do you think are the connections between childcare and mental health in our society? Again, we're saying childcare because that's the field that we're in, that we're aspiring, but we all once were children. So when you think about childcare and mental health in our society, what would you say? What connection, or do you think there is a connection? And I'll pass it to Linda first, please.
Okay, thank you. Well, there's a tremendous amount of connection. First of all, I do want to say that there's another common thread, and I think it's passion and the love for the work that we do. And that certainly does impact our own mental health, right? It's very rewarding for the work that we do. And if you're a provider in a child care setting, you're 100% responsible for that child's cognitive development, their physical development, their social and emotional development. So as I was saying earlier, there's a lot of children that are still struggling, and it's really been something that everyone has embraced and is learning a lot about how to help these children transition into, as they get older, and learn some of those self-regulation skills, learn that self-care, learn how to really take care of themselves. And I think that that's been a really heavy lift for quite a few of the providers, but they have met the challenge.
Thank you, Linda. Marcella, what are your thoughts?
There you go. It is tremendously connected. Not only for us as a provider, but as a parent, when you're able to have like the relief that your child is in a good place, when they're taken care of, where they're meeting all the necessities. Also, in regards of the teachers, for me, it is so important. Like, I try to step in all the classrooms and I ask my teachers, are you okay? My center is very inclusive. So I have different, and I have a lot of children with birth to 3. I have a lot of children that receive ABA, and sometimes it is difficult for them to communicate, and they got frustrated. And when you have a lot of that in a classroom, it can be a little intimidating as a teacher. And sometimes you feel down, you feel, oh my God, I'm not doing this right. So it is so important for us to step in, like, are you okay? Do you need 5 minutes? I'm here for you. I'm here for you, not only for the teacher, I'm here for you as a parent too. Because you can come here and we work together, we're going to be able to succeed. We're going to be able to do great things.
I just want to say something, Lorna, because Marcy is like, it's like she's singing to me right now what she's talking about. It is so important to ask the question, are you okay? Right? Like, I think that in this industry, like Linda said, there's a lot of passion and everybody is doing such wonderful work. It's not easy. We love it, but it doesn't mean that it's always easy. And that's self-care. I loved what you said earlier, Lorna. Self-care does not mean selfish, right? Like checking in, that sometimes it does get stressful, but sometimes just knowing that somebody is reaching out to say, are you okay? How are you? Do you need 5 minutes? It makes a world of difference. And I think it really does help with mental health. So Marcy, I just wanted to say thank you so much for saying that. It's really important.
Thank you.
Absolutely, and was going to pass the baton to you, Tanya, to respond, but you just naturally just did. But if you care to elaborate more.
Yeah, it hits a nerve, right? Because whether you're in the childcare industry or in any industry, right, things can get stressful sometimes. And to know that somebody else cares, to know that somebody can just check in means a whole lot. And in this world where we are navigating our mental health, what a difference a kind word makes. So what she said resonated so much with me, because you can take that in this industry and use it in any industry. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Kamara, do you care to share thoughts?
Sure. While it's important to make sure that our staff is okay, or just us as owners or directors, it's also very important to know that your parents are okay. It's very, very important. Like, I'm not at my center for the day to day, but I'm at family childcare. That's one thing that I always do. That morning check-in means a lot. And at the center, my director, she aspires to be their early bird, always want to be early, but she does that check-in with parents. How's your morning going? Is everything okay? Sometimes we do know the back end of, people's lives, but it's so important to know that parents are also okay. We have kids coming from different backgrounds, and COVID has done such a significant damage to our children and families in general. So we want to always make sure that while our staff is okay, our kids are okay, and the parents are okay. And this field does give burnout. It's so easy. It's really easy. So just touching bases with everyone, asking parents, "Are you okay?" My director constantly asks staff, "How are you doing? How are you feeling today? How's the class going today?" And she tries to pitch in because at the end of the day, if the teachers are not okay, the kids are not okay. And it rolls right over to the parents are not okay. So we just have to make sure that everyone's okay. But while doing that, we need to be okay. So it's a revolving door. It really is.
Can I just add real quick? So true, because it is the nature of many of us that do this work is to take on those things. But when we were talking about building a village, I will say that childcare programs, whether they're center-based or family home-based, we do provide that sense of community for those parents and that village. And so a huge resource, and they all become your family. So it's the work that childcare providers do is just so vast, so vast.
Echo and applause to all that was shared. And Kamara, with your words, if we were in church, I would say amen. Absolutely. In terms of checking in and being aware of the wellness of the parents, of the providers, of everyone, because we're all interconnected. And I just have to say that I so appreciate all of you because the level of our discussion, as intimate as it is, we're getting deep and we're getting real with the realities of things. And it touches on, Linda, to a point that you made, stated so well. Another common thread that you all share is passion. And I think it's a fallacy to think that if you're passionate about something, that means everything is always wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And that's not true. There are moments when it's tough, and it's okay to recognize when it's tough. And so, with that, a question for all of you that you have already made reference to, but will specifically ask, what is one tip that you would share with the women, with the people, with those that are listening here around mental health or wellness? Because that's what you all were just talking about. What is one tip or word of advice that you would give around mental health and wellness? And if I may also say, I very much appreciate and respect you all talking about the importance of attending to the health wellness of our children, but also recognizing we must attend to the wellness of self as well. So what is one tip or word of advice that you may share? And this time I will start with Tanya, please.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think it's really important to be intentional about protecting your peace. And everybody's definition of peace is different. But to make sure you understand what that looks like and work towards protecting that. And this is like a sidebar. When I teach like personal finance or things like that, we always go through these different checklists of things that we should do. But one thing that's not always in the business books is be mindful of your support circle. Who is in your circle? Because it has an impact on who you are. So be intentional about protecting your peace. Identify what peace looks like for you and protect that at all costs. And just make sure you're mindful of who's around you. It does make a difference.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tanya. Marcella.
I think it's important to find a moment to breathe, find a moment to reconnect with yourself. And it's something that I tell my children all the time. Sometimes we need to grab the cupcake and blow the candle. It makes it so much better. And the thing is so funny, but I think it is so important for us to take a moment, even if it's 5 minutes, and just reconnect. Do something that you know will bring you peace. Read, I don't know, tell a joke, something that will bring you peace. And also be aware of your circle, like Tanya said.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kamara, what are your thoughts?
So, like you said, self-care is not selfish. It is imperative to always remember you are only one person and you're stretched thin. But for me, my kids know, do not call me on a Saturday morning. They're older, they get the memo. Like, they know, do not talk to me on a Saturday morning. Weekends are mine. I sleep in late. I don't want to hear it. I don't care what's going on, but that's my time. But even after work, and I wear two hats, and then I'm a parent of a teenager. But I try to take at least 10 minutes, even if it's before bed. I sit in the dark and I breathe. It's heavy out here, but I've learned over time not to forget me. I've done it before where I was worn out, but I learned the hard way, and I'm not doing it again. So now I breathe. I take a breather. And on the weekends, I try to do stuff that it's just me time. I need that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My, oh my. Linda, may you care to share?
I would say an important thing is to not isolate yourself. There are a lot of resources out there for you. I find that providers, probably even more so family home providers, they're alone all day with children, which is wonderful, but they don't necessarily feel like they have that lifeline. So find that lifeline. When I was teaching at Charter Oak, and we would have our class discussions, I would have many directors say to me, this is like group therapy. Just because I know that somebody else just dealt with the same situation the other day, or that, they've bonded with each other, they formed connections, they would, talk with each other about, well, how did you handle this? Or what did you do when that happened? And I think that sense of community really makes a huge difference for them. So if you are isolated out there, find some resources. We can help you with that.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you all for your genuine and sharing and candid sharing of that. And again, the importance of breathing. We oxygen is free and how powerful it can be. So boy, oh boy, thank you. This question is for Kamara and Marcella. We've talked about the journey of how you got to where you are. We've talked about some of the challenges that one may face when in this experience and when in this place. May you please tell us about what's ahead for you in your business? What do you see as the next step with you and your business?
Definitely growing. That is the goal. Definitely serve more of those who are in need. I'm actually, with the great help of Linda and many others, I am trying to relicense one of my rooms because you learn as you go. So now I'm here. I'm like, you know what? Maybe it would be better to start doing this way. So I'm in the process of relicense one of my classrooms so I can start more toddlers. And that's what all my thoughts are in this moment.
Excellent. Wish you well. Life is a classroom of learning and wish you well in your next pursuits. Thank you. Kamara.
Well, for me, I've already put a lot of thought into expansion because coming from family childcare, which I'm still here because I still own my family childcare, but my center is like 9 months old, and my clients have really shown much appreciation for what I offer. And based on their reviews, I do have a waiting list of unborn kids to unborn babies. And I don't have enough room for all the referrals that they're giving me. And my parents at my family childcare, same thing. I just don't have enough room. So I know it's about time to take that next step. Well, not even a step, it's going to be a huge leap. And then with infant and toddlers, it's hard in Bridgeport. We're definitely a childcare desert here. And that's all I get calls for, infants and toddlers. So it's time to take the next leap. And I'm ready. I know my great coach, Linda, is ready for me. So we're going to rock this out, Linda. Thank you.
Rock it out, rock away. Absolutely. And that is a good predicament to be in when you have you're growing and trying to find ways to meet the growth. So wonderful, Kamar. Wish you well with your expansion. And so with that piece, now I would like to direct this question to Linda and Tanya. What's ahead for WBDC supports for childcare and other small businesses? What's next in your roles?
Well, okay, Linda. I know that we're rolling out new classes and offerings for this industry, and that's going to include multi-session courses. We're going to have increased support, and that's going to be around childcare management software. So multi-session courses, new classes, and support around childcare management software. I just wanted to repeat that to make sure I got that right for you. And much, much more, right? Dot, dot, dot.
I think one of the great things about WBDC is that we're constantly talking with the providers and saying, what do you need? What can we do? How can we change our classes? Where are we missing the boat? Tell us, we want to meet that need. So we're ever evolving and, and finding new things that can really help the field. Again, Tanya said we're building some new classes, some multi-session classes. We, definitely work with all of our partners all over the state to, make sure that, we're serving their clients' needs as well and working together on things. And then I think something that, I've been very passionate about is making sure that the field of childcare is really been elevated, right? We've talked about how it's, people are really recognizing its importance in the overall economics or, in our community and the vast work that we do. But I really think that we have to just continue to advocate for better working conditions and, and really making it affordable for the families out there that need childcare.
Thank you, Linda. And I have to say, what just happened a few seconds ago, which was clearly not planned, I think you gave the universal motion for just a minute when you put the hand out. You didn't say just a minute, but you put the hand out, just a minute, quiet down. And so I'm going to ask this other question because, again, that just shows the versatility that all of us can relate to. What word of advice would you share to the younger version of you? You all now are adults, you're women who are doing well, aspiring. You have talked about the progress of where you are, even having overcome challenges. But importantly, you're talking about a vision moving forward. I want you to rewind and talk to that 3 or 4-year-old. What word of advice may you give her that may be insightful to other 3 and 4-year-olds? And I'll give you a moment because I went off script again. But what word of advice would you share with the younger version of you?
Passion. Just whatever lights your fire, that's what you have to pursue.
Yeah, I like that. I'm thinking 3 or 4-year-old, like I'm going way back. But what I'm thinking is, continue to have fun, be still and know, and it's okay to make mistakes. I think that we have to really get comfortable with, I know they say failing, but failing forward, So I don't know that I would say that at 3 or 4, but you want to get the, I don't know, the A on the test or the gold star or whatever it is. It's okay if you're having fun, if you're not being reckless, well, maybe a little reckless, but it's okay to just have fun and live a little bit and make some mistakes sometimes, right? It's all right. I also wanted to just add one other thing that we are doing. We're hosting more networking events too, to meet up with people like you in different parts of the state. So that's just one other thing to keep in mind, everyone.
Thank you. Networking is important. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And failing forward. Yes. And having passion. Absolutely. Marcel and Kamara, what words of advice would you have? And I said 3 or 4-year-old, but if you want to make it a little older, that's okay, to a younger version of yourself? What words of advice may you share?
Maybe don't be afraid. Just take that step forward. You know, uh, that's all. Put my listener ears on too, because sometimes like, oh, mom, put those listening ears on for mom, because moms are always right. They know. That's all. Just don't be afraid. Pursue.
Excellent. Don't be afraid, pursue. Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Kamara.
In everything that you do, find joy, your passion, and work towards your goals. Because I remember as a little girl, I don't know how I ended up in someone's cubicle punching numbers on papers. As a little girl, my favorite thing to do was dollhouse. So I'd line up my dolls and whatever I could find that looks like a human figure. And I was always teaching. And then when I became a teacher, I said to myself, well, this is what I should have done. Who knew? But back then, no one told me, oh my God, you're doing a great job. I think that's, that's your dream job. My dream job was someone's office. I had no idea that playing with my dolls and teaching them and, pouring everything that I learned from my first grade teacher, my kindergarten teacher into them was actually me. That was my calling. It was my passion. So now I take that and I just build on that and I run with it. So when I see kids in my daycare doing little things, for every child, I already, give them a profession. So there's me. Oh my God, that one's going to be an engineer. Look at my little doctor. And that she's going to be a teacher. She's trying to be me. And they do that. They take the book and they read to each other. They read to the dolls. So when I see them do that, I'm like, oh my God, look at that. 4 or 5 years old, I had no clue. But find joy in whatever you do and just pursue your passion.
Boy, what words of wisdom you all collectively have shared. Pursue your passion, find your peace, protect your peace, be in the moment, don't isolate, find a moment to breathe. That one, boy, find a moment to breathe. Linda, Tanya, Kamara, Marcella, thank you so very much for sharing your time, sharing your words of wisdom with all of us. And most importantly, thank you so much for investing in those who are investing in our future leaders, and that being our young people. That is just something that can never be understated. Thank you so much for collectively all that you do. And with that, going to pass the baton to Linda, who's going to introduce a brief video we're going to see on another inspiring individual. Linda, to you.
Well, it is my great honor to introduce you to Nesa. Nesa is the owner of the Learning Barn Children's Center in Naugatuck. She came to us probably about 6 months before she planned on opening. She was very diligent about, taking the classes and doing the work and getting prepared. She, like Marcy, saw a need in the community and, met that need. She was struggling with trying to find childcare for her own children. So that's what inspired her. Again, wonderful businesswoman. She was able to employ, I believe, close to 25 people at this point, and she filled her center very quickly. She just had her 1-year anniversary in October, and it was just such a great celebration. Without further ado, I will let you go ahead and play her video. She is one of our Women Rising from our last year's gala.
For about 15 plus years, I was home with my children, homeschooling them. And after they all got old enough, we decided that we wanted to foster children. Once we got the girls and the girls had some special needs, we wanted to be able to provide something for them, just to give them a good start in life. So because we couldn't find childcare, we decided, let's go out and open our own daycare center. We opened on October of 2022. As a mom, you need to feel at peace wherever you leave your child. I want for everyone to feel like this is a friendly place. It's a welcoming place. When I was first starting and I knew that I needed guidance and I knew that I needed some help, so I reached out to the Women's Business Development Council. They quickly connected me with one of the ladies there, and she walked me through everything. She helped me with pre-enrollment. She helped me with my grand opening, and she just gave me awesome ideas that I implemented. Their guidance has given me the confidence to know that I can do this. They've been such a benefit to my business that I know I will grow if I have them by my side. Being selected for the Women Rising Award, I feel honored, I feel excited, and excited of what's to come.
My, oh my, how inspirational she is. Boy, that's we certainly see why she received that well-deserved award. Thank you so much, Linda, for sharing Nisa's story with us. And with that, we are getting ready to hear additional further words of wisdom, words of inspiration, talking about our closing message speaker, that being Louise Lisboa. Louise is WBDC's Vice President of Childcare Program and Impact. She has built the organization's childcare division and is responsible for ensuring the advancement of childcare businesses through quality entrepreneurial programs and services and advocacy. She brings over 10 years of experience with WBDC, building impactful business development programs and reporting systems, and overseeing the measurement and enhancement of WBDC's economic impact. Now, those are the formalities of what I shared with you, but I want to say I've had the pleasure of collaborating with Louise over a short period of time, but the collaboration has certainly been impactful and meaningful, and she clearly is someone who walks the talk, and we're honored to have her with us today. Louise, passing it to you.
Thank you so much, Lorna, for the warm introduction, and you're far too kind. It has been amazing working with you as well. And thank you so much to OEC for having us on today and for all of you joining. I have to say, it always energizes me when I hear the stories of women entrepreneurs. I hear their insights and how they've navigated challenges, and I always leave with something new. You may say, hey, you work with these people all the time. This is all old hand. And I swear every time I leave with a new nugget. So today I will take a few minutes to share my journey and more on the evolution of our childcare business support program and what's on the horizon for us. I'm hoping I leave you with what are some words of encouragement on what you can do and what's next. So my story, we heard from Fran and Kamara and Marcy, Linda and Tanya, all entrepreneurs, all powerful women. My story is not one of entrepreneurship, but rather just being an enterprising woman. So after 7 years on the WBDC team and just a month into this crazy pandemic, it was one rainy afternoon in April 2020, you guys can just imagine, when I got a phone call from our CEO, Fran Pastore, with an opportunity. OEC needed an agency to jump in and provide business supports to help stabilize the childcare industry. Okay, no problem. I've been leading our business supports. I can help with that, Fran, no problem. Oh no, Fran goes, we want you to lead this charge. Okay, momentary panic sets in. I'm sure all of you guys that are business owners on the call or had this dream know the feeling of, oh my God, can I really do this? Is this something I'm capable of? Well, I tried to channel Fran's energy and vision and put myself in her shoes and see what could we do. So I realized it would be a valuable experience. And it was this critical moment, you guys all remember it, where we needed to provide these services at scale for the childcare industry. An industry so in need, so in deserving of business supports that were long left by the wayside. So I took that opportunity and I leaned into the WBDC team and resources for support and guidance to figure out how we were going to make this happen. Fast forward 4 years later, we have this whole infrastructure and team at WBDC with a thriving childcare business support program, working with many of you guys on the call. And really a big piece of this was OEC's commitment to investing in childcare providers to be empowered and successful businesses with these business supports, with these behavioral health webinar series, with professional development. All of that comes together. And so it's really gratifying to me. I stay in this world, I stay in nonprofits, I stay with WBDC because we get to meet clients like Kamara and Marcy and Emanuela and Nasa and see their commitment each and every day to the children and families they serve. Honestly, they are my heroes. They are why we do what we do and why we keep persevering. So with our amazing team, including Tanya and Linda, and this wide network of referral partners, we have been able to reach over 1,500 childcare providers across almost every single city and town in Connecticut. It blows me away. Our impact team showed me this data and I was like, wow, this is real. We did this. And so we've touched over 900 family homes and 400 centers and put OEC's dollars to work. So we put over $6 million in grants for cash grants and technology grants into the hands of 400 providers. These providers are incredible. We heard their stories of how they are creating businesses and creating jobs, and that's true across the state, right? You guys have gone on to create 73 new businesses, over 450 jobs for educators, and 1,400 new slots for children. Our clients, many of whom are here today, support over 36,000 childcare slots and 7,800 childcare jobs across Connecticut. We'll just take a moment. The numbers never cease to amaze me. I am awed by all the work you guys do to help the industry and our ability to help you along that journey. But the business supports and the positive industry changes don't happen in isolation. It requires this community that we have heard of, a team of passionate people and those invested in the cause to come together to achieve meaningful change. It's the providers, it's the partners, it's the advocates, small business owners, employers, and elected officials coming together to raise up an industry. And before I go further, there is a very special guest that is a part of that community and lifting us all up. Lorna, will you take a moment?
This is a wonderful moment. And thank you so much, Louise, for the pause and everyone who is with us today. We are so honored to have Lieutenant Governor Susan Bysowitz with us. And although the name tag says John Kelly, we can promise you that is the Lieutenant Governor who is here because she recognizes the value and power of women and certainly women in business. So Lieutenant Governor, we'll pass the baton to you to please share words. And thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And the reason that we have dueling names on the video is because I was just on a video leading our interagency council on ending the achievement gap, but I would not want to miss the opportunity to speak to my friends at the WBDC and Office of Early Childhood. And I really appreciate this opportunity to join you all for this important discussion during Women's History Month. And I have to say that today was a great day because the governor and I announced alongside of the co-chairs of the Labor Committee, Senator Julie Kushner and State Representative Manny Sanchez, our support for expanding Connecticut's paid sick day law so that workers, particularly women workers, would have the opportunity to take care of either their own health or time off to care for family members. Because as you know, women are often the primary caregivers for our families. And this new provision, I think, would ease pressure on many women who have to work and provide support for multiple generations of family members. And it could be a spouse, a child, or a parent. So our state has been leading the way with one of the best paid family leave programs in the country. And we really thank Aaron Choquette and Fran Pastore, who chairs the board there, for their leadership. We've had 126,000 people take advantage of paid leave to welcome a child, to take care of a sick loved one, to take care of their own health. And I think this is one of the reasons that Connecticut has been recognized as one of the best states in the country for women because of our great paid leave program. And we really need to update our paid sick day program. I just want to say also that OEC and many of our agency partners have a number of programs that help women who are working stay at work while providing relief for childcare needs. Fran has been just an incredible partner with the state to provide opportunities for women who come from all walks of life to start a business through the Ignite grant program and the Child Care Business Support Program. So I want to thank WBDC and Fran for the great work that they do in getting more women to open early child care businesses and at the same time give those women opportunities to start a great business and give other women and men the opportunity to be back in the workforce because they know that their children are being cared for well. So I think the work that WBDC, the state, especially OEC, is doing is helping to build back up our child care infrastructure and ensuring that more people in our state can get back into the workforce because we have 100,000 jobs open right now. And because we need so many people in our workforce, we have prioritized early childhood education and care. And that's why the governor has dedicated $43 million in the budget that is now before our state legislature, because that investment is going to be critical to getting people back to work and to caring for our children. And it's going to create more employment opportunities as well for those who work in this important early child care field. So I want to thank OEC and the WBDC for just letting me have a few minutes to highlight the important work that we're doing together. OEC has a blue ribbon commission that the governor established that I am honored to be a part of. And the WBDC has just been an incredible partner. And we're looking forward to working with the legislature to see that $43 million investment become a reality, because it's going to be good for women. It's going to be good for the families of Connecticut, our communities, and our state. So thank you so much for having me, Lorna.
Of course, Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much for joining us. We know that you have a busy schedule and we very much value your time. And thank you also for showing that you certainly put action behind those things that we speak of, and investing in this field is absolutely important. So thank you, and thank the governor very, very much. Thank you.
All right, back to the legislature to advocate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And with that, we'll return to Louise to continue sharing. That was certainly a wonderful pause, and we look forward to continuing to receive your words. Thank you so much, Louise, for your flexibility.
Thank you so much. And the Lieutenant Governor just said it perfectly. The next part of my remarks are really about that advocacy and turning it to the legislature. And so grateful Lieutenant Governor Bysewicz could join us. So as WBDC and we all look ahead, we are committed to continuing to invest in you and invest in ourselves, right? We heard a lot about self-care and lifting up our voices together to achieve change. So you can achieve change and support your community, whether you are a parent, an educator, a business owner, or just a concerned citizen. It starts with these small steps, taking care of yourself, putting one foot in front of the other each and every day. Guys, that's how I got through the pandemic, and leaning into your tribe or support circle. Then take stock and see what can you do to support your community. Find the challenges locally, and then think about what improvements you would like to see. Speak to your friends, your family, your colleagues, and consider what role you can take in the solutions. So maybe you want to follow in the footsteps of Marcy and Kamara to become an entrepreneur. Congratulations, we'd love to help you on that journey. Or maybe you want to be an advocate. So I really encourage you to speak to your legislators. They work for you. Tell them your story and what you want them to fight for, whether it's paid leave, like the Lieutenant Governor just spoke about, health insurance for you and your employees, increased compensation, which we know is really important to the field, or something really important to many working families is flexible working schedules. So I encourage you to be aware of what our legislators are talking about in Hartford and how those issues could impact you and your business on a daily basis. Now, I know you guys have a lot going on, way too much, and you are managing your family childcare programs, your childcare centers, your small businesses, your families. So where do you find this information? Well, I am grateful to our partners at the Early Childhood Alliance, Childcare for Connecticut's Future Coalition, the Connecticut Business and Industry Association, and many others to help keep everyone informed. Legislators need to know how you, as their constituents, you are the ones that elect them, feel about the issues they are considering. So if you want to get started on your advocacy journey in a group setting, which is one of the easier ways to do it, or simply you're just looking to have some more inspiring days to get your juices flowing, get a break from the everyday doldrum, we invite you to join a couple upcoming events. So for those of you that were with us at the beginning of this call, you heard Fran give the very exciting hot off the press news that we will be, Fran, myself, and a childcare business will be at Washington, D.C. for the U.S. Small Business Administration's Women's Business Summit next week. So we have the honor of presenting to members of government at the White House, including, wait for it, Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, on how to increase pathways for childcare business supports around the nation. And all of this is part of the SBA's Women's Business Summit. So you guys, right from the convenience of your home or your business, can tune in virtually. So next Tuesday, March 26th, and I'll drop the link to the chat after, and you can hear about some of these supports for childcare, but also across the nation, what business supports are out there for women entrepreneurs or anyone on their business journey. So for those of you looking for something closer to home, something in Connecticut to get out in person and take that step to connect with your community, we invite you to join us at the State Capitol in Hartford on Thursday, April 11th. WBDC is doing our 10th Women-Owned Business Day at the Capitol. We're going to be joined by over 100 legislators, childcare providers, women business owners, community leaders, to advocate for you and uplift the voices of Connecticut women in business. So lots of opportunities. It's a great way to just get started in a low-key setting. So to close, I want each of you to remember that you have the power to affect change and make a difference, and your story matters. And most importantly, remember the great advice of our panel to take those self-care moments for yourself and find your lifeline in this madness. Thank you so much, Lorna.
Louise, thank you. Thank you for those words. Thank you for sharing your story, your journey. Thank you for being an example of how to lead by example. We are so appreciative to you and your words. And thank you for reminding us of the power of advocacy. And again, it was quite timely for Lieutenant Governor Bicewicz to come in when she did and to echo the words that you were speaking of as well. Thank you so much, Louise, but want to expand the thanks and the words of appreciation for all of you that are here. Certainly want to thank Diana Reyes for opening us up and our interpreters. Thank you, Paula and Elizabeth. Thank you, Deputy Commissioner Elena Trueworthy. Thank you, Fran Pastore, for a powerful opening keynote message, certainly keeping us all on our toes about the history that's not that far away, bringing us to where we are right now. Thank you for sharing the story of Emanuela. Thank you so much to Margaret Gustafson with the OEC. Thank you for your partnership. And of course, our panelists. Thank you so much, Linda, Tanya, Marcella, and Kamara, for sharing us, reminding of us of the importance of this work and the importance of remembering the people behind the work as well, and to remember the people and to ask if you're okay. Thank you so very much. Thank you for sharing Nisa's story. And Louise, once again, thank you so much for your inspiring and powerful closing message. So collectively, everyone, we hope that you have absorbed the information shared. We hope that you have been reminded of the power of women in business, the power of women, and not only to recognize that this month, but year round, and to continue to use your voice because your voice is certainly needed and certainly appreciated. Thank you all so very much for joining us, and we look forward to our paths crossing again. Thank you. Take care. Be well.